battling, having got in way of the attempted clearance. Jim Gannon. Oh, great flick on by Alan Armstrong.
Piece against Bradford, but here's Warburton!
Yes!
And trying to manufacture the shot, gets it away, yeah!
Not got it clear. Please, sir! It's a cracker!
Running Armstrong, played in the game, and a superb goal!
Tony did it! Stockport County are the champions of League Two.
Hello and welcome to this week's Scarf Bigara War. As you can see, once again, Russ has abandoned a sinking ship and left me in charge. I will be trying to press the buttons, but hopefully succeeding in most cases. Very exciting this week. Obviously, the season kicks off on Saturday, so really looking forward to that. We have got a Cambridge fan on to give us a quick lowdown on their season. We've got a fan as well making his first appearance. And as always, well, not as always, this week I am joined by fellow TSBW employee.
I don't get paid, mate.
You're all right. Charity worker, Jimmy.
Exactly. Yeah.
How are you doing, Jimmy?
Hi, everybody listening and watching.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, mate. Can't wait for the season to start.
Good. So yeah, lots to talk about, lots to do. So I think basically we will start and we will get, if I can find the transition video, we will get our fan guest out first, have a quick introduction with him, and then we'll get our Cambridge United fan out.
Oh, no! You're joking! You're joking!
Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the Scarf Bigara War. How are we doing, pal?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
That's all right. No worries. No problem at all. So, yeah, we'll do the usual. We'll get to know you a little bit better after we've spoke with the Cambridge fan. So we've given you all the questions as this is your debut, isn't it? So have you got answers for all of them? Can you remember?
I have, yes.
Standard questions. Oh, right. Okay.
That's
good. Sounds like someone's done some research. Brilliant. That's a first. So, all right. Well, we will start by getting our Cambridge United fan out. It is Jordan from Under the Abbey Stand, which is one of their podcasts.
Please, sir! It's a cracker! Stephen Gleeson! What a beauty!
Hello, Jordan. How are we doing?
Yeah, evening, gents. Evening, everyone listening and watching along.
Evening, Jim. Have you been drinking, Jordan?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. But just a bit rusty. Haven't been doing many pods over the summer, so kind of forgotten how to speak on microphone. It bodes well for your next 15, 20 minutes for your listeners there.
I'm sure we'll be all right. So, I mean, basically, yeah. First things first for me is obviously last season you finished 18th with 48 points, goal difference of minus 22, and just 4 points above the drop. Is that, or was that, a fair reflection of your season, or was you a little unlucky in places? How did you feel as a Cambridge fan?
Yeah. It was an improvement on the season before, which I don't know if you ever saw that, but we stayed up on the last day, having gone into sort of the final 6 games cut adrift, and we did sort of a miraculous, great escape to stay up. So it was a little bit. I guess it's a little bit of an improvement compared to the season before, in that we went into the final game very much with it in our hands, and in the end we didn't even have to win on the final day, and we moved up a couple of positions. Last season for me, I feel like was a missed opportunity for United. You're probably going to hear a lot from opposing fans this season talking about the strength of League One this year. Like the teams that have come down are good and aren't basket cases like Wigan and Reading were last year. They've got money. Then obviously, the teams that have come up better than the rest of us, but that they're fairly good good criteria. And if you look at how teams like Carlisle did last year, you're probably not going to have. Oh, actually, no, tell a lie. You've got Crawley. I was going to say you probably won't have a similar story, but you have got Crawley who decided to get rid of like that promotion-winning team. But apart from that, the other three will be pretty strong. So last year, of the 3 years that we've been back in League One, and we hadn't been in League One for decades, so it's great to be back. But last year, of the 3 seasons, felt like the weaker league, and it felt like the Great Escape the year before, bit of investment in the squad. Last year was the year to really sort of maybe be a little bit more expansive and push on, and maybe not just be sort of resided in being in that sort of bottom 4, bottom 5 clubs. And there were points in the season where that looked like that was happening. We managed to go through, we finished the season with our 3rd manager. I think that didn't help, but yeah, I would say last season was probably a bit of a letdown, and it was a sort of a missed opportunity. And yeah, finishing bottom 6, I think it was pretty fair given how the season panned out.
It's interesting that you say that, because we had a fan forum event yesterday at Edgeley Park, and Dave was saying that last season maybe 8 teams were probably looking for promotion, and he thinks this season it's probably more like, well, he said 14. So that definitely backs up what you just said there about the strength in depth in League One this season. It
feels like a league of 2 leagues, doesn't it? And like you say, there's probably like 10, 14 clubs that are going to be pushing for that top, those top positions, playoffs and promotion. And then there's going to be 10 of us, and Cambridge firmly in that 10 that are just looking to stay in the league. And we've had that, the previous 2 years, whereas last year felt a lot more open. And just a bit disappointing that we didn't really see any improvement. And I think the comings and goings off the pitch definitely didn't help. We started the season with Mark Bonner, who was sort of Roy of the Rovers type stuff. He was a fan who ended up being head coach, got us promoted, and it was really sad to sack him, but it felt like the right thing to do. And then the guy that replaced him, Neil Harris, I think was here less than 3 months, and that obviously
I forgot that Harris was there.
And what makes it
from a Millwall, Neil Harris?
And he went back to Millwall, and when he left, he said that he'd made a promise to the former chairman that passed away that he would go back to Millwall if they ever needed him and in their sort of time of need. And he just thought, did you mention that in your job interview? Like, did you tell like future employees that you've got this promise to a dead guy? What makes it really annoying is he didn't actually absolutely smashed it at Millwall. I think the last 8 games of the league, the championship calendar, they had amazing form and stayed up. So but that definitely wouldn't have mod. 3 different coaches, different ideas, different training patterns. So glad that we've got Gary Monk. I think he's a good head coach. From what I've seen in pre-season, he has shaped the squad a little bit more to be his squad and play his way. So looking forward to this year. But if I'm honest, I feel like we'll probably do better this year than last year, but could still go down, which is such a weird thing to say. Like I think we'll probably perform better, but stand a bigger chance of going down, which seems like a bit of a.
Is that because you sort of said because it's such a much stronger league this year, or do you not see another 4 teams weaker than yourself? Apart from Crawley. I think everybody's pretty much saying Crawley, aren't they? Because the way that they've just completely devastated.
Imploded. It's a bit of both. Like the league is definitely stronger, and then it's a case of looking at who's in there and going, right, well, who are you going to finish above? Like who realistically is probably not going to get as many points as us? And last year it felt like you could list more teams, whereas this year those teams are either not in the league anymore, or they've had sort of transformation. So like look at Burton, for example, who've had new investment come in and had signed a ton of players. So it does feel harder to sort of pinpoint who you think you'll finish above. What I would say is I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some teams drop. Teams like Leyton Orient, Exeter, Northampton all had great seasons last year. Have they got better this summer? I'm not sure they have. So perhaps it's going to be more open than I think. But it's certainly a daunting task looking at it and saying who are the 4 teams that finish below us in the table.
Right.
Just got a question from Righty. So Jordan, how good is Cambridge as an away day?
Oh, great question. I would say Cambridge is only a good away day if you do your research. The ground is, it's a bit of a old shabby kind of ground, but it's got character. But just in general, like it's a little bit far away from things like the train station, the city centre, and the pubs. So if you rock up with like no research, you're gonna have a terrible time. You probably might not even find the ground because the council haven't put signposts up for it. But if you do a bit of research, we've got you could make a really great day and evening of it because there's loads going on in the city, loads of good boozers. It's genuinely a very friendly place as well. So I rate it, but only if you do your research.
Nice.
Excellent. So, I mean, how do you feel that your transfer window's gone? Because I was looking on Transfermarkt and it's saying that there was basically 14 players released. It looks like a lot of them have either not got clubs or gone to like the lower leagues, like League Two, Conference and stuff like that. But then you brought 8 players in who are all sort of League One Championship. So do you not think, is that better for you? Do you think that is improving your squad a lot?
Yeah, I feel like we've had a decent window. I was really, really optimistic and excited early in the window, but it feels like the last couple of weeks it's dried up and it's slowed down, and we go into the opening weekend with a couple of very glaring holes, particularly going forward. We only have 2 strikers there. I think we're light in centre backs, and he likes to play 3 at the back, so it's not an area that you want to be light on. I'm not sure about our left hand side as well, so it does feel like there are sort of gaps there. I suspect there's more in it than we know, and we've maybe missed out on targets and things like that. But it's kind of sort of taken the shine off of what was, and if we're being honest, should still be considered a pretty good window. We've moved players on who, grateful for their service, but weren't quite up to sort of the standard that we need. We've replaced them with some experienced players. Got people like Gary Gardner's joined. I don't think he's ever played lower than the Championship. Corey Smith has joined. He played 35, 40 games for Derby County, who went up from this division last year. So we've had a strong window. I would like to see more movement. I'm hoping that there is someone signed between now and us, lining up on Saturday night as well. But
have you got quite a few injuries, or have you got a fairly fit squad?
Yeah, we've not got injuries, but we've got a few players that are sort of lagging behind in fitness. So there's a couple of players, maybe 2 or 3, that won't make Saturday. And that, I think, is the issue. I think as a starting 11, as like a core of the squad, we're all right. We're fairly decent and an improvement on last year. The issue is beyond that sort of core 10, 11 folks, I don't see options. I don't see where we would go to from the bench to change games and things like that. So, yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think we'll play better football. I think we've got better footballers and more talent in the team this year, but I think we're lacking at the moment, and that will probably over the course of 45, 50 games really come back and bite us. So I'm desperate to see us get at least 2-3 extra faces in before the window shuts.
So I guess just on that, Ian Dowden's asking you, what style of play does Cambridge have? What can we expect from you when we play you on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a tricky one to say because Gary Monk had maybe 7-8 games at the end of last season, and it really felt like he, instead of sort of applying his style, he basically just reacted to what he had there. And across those period of games, we tried a couple of different formations, kind of tried a couple of different ideas. Some worked, some really didn't work, and we got some heavy defeats. So we go into the season still not knowing that much about our head coach. But what I would say is previously, like our time in League One, style of play has been pretty attritional, just
Long
basically,
ball.
long ball playing.
Direct.
Playing out of possession, trying to contain teams and then hit on the break.
Mhm.
A lot of that out of necessity, just because of like the gap between the quality between most of the teams that we've played and the finances to bring in different players. But what I would say is early signs, like how we've been playing in pre-season and what players have been saying in interviews and things like that, is that they are, sort of moving to a more pleasing style on the eye and try and be in possession a bit more, try and retain the ball more. How that will pan out, not so sure. But we have signed some we have signed some decent sort of ball players this summer, so maybe it will work. So going into the game on Saturday, not entirely sure what to expect, but yeah, I imagine probably old habits die hard, and a lot of it will probably still be trying to sort of contain and play on the counter.
So I suppose add to that, who have we got to watch out for? Who's your sort of the players that the spine of your team, or who the ones that are gonna excel against us?
Yeah, I think a couple of names that I would mention for you to keep an eye on. The first one is a guy called James Brophy, and he really splits opinion at Cambridge United. So he's now coming into his 4th year, and he's a winger. He's a left-sided attacker. But in his 3 seasons at Cambridge United, he scored the grand total of 1 goal. And he's the kind of player that when you talk to other fans or people that don't watch Cambridge United, and they just look at the stats, they're like, who is this guy? Why is he still getting games? Why have you given him a new contract in the summer? But he's always a name that opposing fans notice when we play them, and it's purely because he's got lightning pace and he's really good at sort of carrying the ball, dribbling it and retaining it. So I suspect he will be a key part on Saturday.
So long as he keeps up his non-goal scoring,
yeah, absolutely, right. Yeah,
I'll be more than happy to see him on the wing.
Yeah, I actually think he'll play a more central role this year. I think he'll be sort of in central midfield, which will be interesting. The other name that I would give you is Shane Lavery, who we signed in the summer, was released from Blackpool. Didn't have the best year last year with goal returns, but has an all right sort of track record. I think he's scored double figures in the Championship in the past. I was watching him on Friday night. We played West Brom, and he's the kind of player that you watch and you just think, you're going to be a fan's favourite. You're chasing down everything. You're that kind of sort of terrier, never give up kind of player. So I think he'll be popular with Cambridge fans this year. But I also think he is got a bit about him. So I reckon I'm backing him to score a few goals this season. So I think he'll be someone to keep an eye on. And then
he's an Northern Ireland international as well, isn't he? 19 games, 3 goals. So
yeah,
fair play to him.
Yeah, and then I think the other name, I mentioned him already, but Corey Smith, who we signed from Derby, he's looked really good in pre-season. Sort of that sitting in front of the back 4, back 5, sort of controlling the game without really sort of doing much. Sort of really, kind of Kante kind of role. So I think those are the 3 that I would sort of earmark as people to keep an eye on.
Excellent. Excellent.
Just looking at your fixtures. Sorry to jump in. Just looking at your fixtures for August. You've got potentially a couple of okay opening games after us, Crawley and then Bristol later on in the month.
Yeah.
Do you feel this early on in the season are they 6-pointers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have this running joke based on how the last 2-3 years have gone for Cambridge United, where basically we only seem to play well and pick up points when it's British summertime, which is really funny until you get to April and you're like, look, the clocks need to change because we're desperately running out of games. But yeah, no, absolutely. Points over performances as well. If you ask me, like I would like to see us play, more attractive football and like to see the new players gel and things like that. But to be absolutely honest, like I'd rather have the points on the board than maybe have that sort of complete performance this early on. And yeah, got a few games where I think we can target points. We've obviously mentioned Crawley. Our first home game is against them. Bristol Rovers are another team that I'm not sure will maybe do as well as they did last year. We've got Blackpool at home, who are a decent team. I think will be top 10, but don't seem to travel that well. So I think there are opportunities, early season for us to get points on the board. And I think that's really crucial because I can't see us not being in the bottom 6 come the end of the season. So get those points up there quickly.
And with that, do you expect you will come for a point on Saturday?
Yeah, I reckon so. It's really, like I was saying, it's really hard to tell with Gary Monk, like what his approach is going to be. And, I think they release their press conference tomorrow. So that'll be a really fascinating listen. I think because we are missing a couple of starters, I think because we're missing maybe a couple of sort of new additions as well, I don't think the squad is quite there yet. And I think they'll be happy to go to a newly promoted team playing their first game at this level for some time, I'm sure in front of a big crowd, and basically just sort of escape what could be, the occasion. So I think we'll try and keep it tight and be more than happy with a point.
Yes. Have you sold many tickets? Have you got many fans coming up?
Do you know what? I haven't checked, but when I was chatting to Dan from this parish earlier for our podcast, he reckons there's about 500 Cambridge fans going up. So I think that's fairly decent considering it's a late kickoff and holiday season and so forth. So yeah,
excellent. So final question then.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose one answer with the head, one answer with the heart. What do you think the score is going to be on Saturday?
I was going to say head and heart are probably the same answer, but no, I'll be more optimistic with the heart. The heart would say maybe, containing you guys and leaving with a point, maybe a 0-0. And sorry, I've just seen Nick's comment in there. Cheers, mate. I got stopped at a wedding. I got stopped at a wedding once, and someone said, "I loved you in the Damned United," which was really weird.
There you go.
So my heart thinks we might get a point, but my head really thinks it's going to be a fairly straightforward 2-0 defeat for us. And a nice win for you guys, and I believe you don't win on opening days, so this will be a real treat.
We've not got a very good record on opening games. So it doesn't matter whether it's at home or away. So we'll see. But
August, do we?
We don't win in August. No, you're right.
Well, let's hope the British summertime Cambridge United continues.
This could be a classic.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jordan. We will let you go, get on, and then we will carry on and talk more shite. So
thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Jordan.
All the best, everyone.
See you, Jordan.
There we go.
Nice.
Quite surprising, really. I think I didn't realize until this today when I was having a look around that they are one of the favourites to go down. Quite surprising that. But you always say you've always got to be optimistic on the opening game of the season, haven't you?
But I mean, going through 3 managers last season, that's not going to be good. But I guess it gives Gary Monk a pre-season to sort of implement his tactics and get a few players in.
They're going to be
an unknown quantity, aren't they? I think because of that.
Sounds like they were lucky as well with Harris leaving so soon. That's
3 months.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that, and especially normally the other way around. A team is a club is binning off a manager because it's just not worked out pretty quickly, and that happened a few times, didn't it? Especially in the Championship last season. But yeah, that's a kind of, I guess, more unusual scenario. Unsurprising though, given his connection with Millwall, sort of man and boy.
Yeah, but I think there was a lot of. I mean, I know a lot of Gillingham fans. A lot of them didn't like Harris, and a lot of them did like him because he didn't play the prettiest football, did he? He was a very much smash and grab type of manager. And because Gillingham beginning of last season, they were top with 9 goals scored, weren't they? They won something like 8 or 9 games, 1-0, didn't they? They just ridiculous, and not a lot of their fans enjoyed that. And then I think it took them time to get over him. But 3 months, and as Jordan said, on the promise of a dead man, that he'd go back to.
Right, so by Ian's last comment about what DC has for breakfast on a match day. Sorry.
Omelette or beans on toast, or bacon butty. Nice.
Yeah, he asked that when he was on BBC Manchester before. So talking about the Cambridge game from our point of view, I know obviously we've got quite a bit of injuries. We'll probably talk more about them later. But how are you feeling about the season opener, Patrick? What do you think? What do you think? What style do you think we're going to play, or what system we're going to play? And are you thinking that we are going to win?
I mean, that's a heart and head question, isn't it? I think really insightful to hear Jordan for the last 20 minutes, half an hour or so. That to me says we really need to be going for that win. We need to be really attacking. I know we've really frustratingly got more. It feels like we've got more injuries than ever. Just so frustrating. I mean, we saw it in Pissar, didn't we, Jimmy? People, lads walking around with hobbling and crutches and what have you. It's like, God, we haven't even got to the season yet. So that's frustrating. But the strength and depth that it feels like we've now got and are getting, and I think, or I feel like we're going to be adding to that, without sounding or without this coming out the wrong way. We should be beating a team like Cambridge based on paper, based on everything we've just discussed on the opening day. Not necessarily comfortably. I don't think anyone cares, really. We just want to get 3 points on the board as quickly as possible, especially because we're travelling to Blackpool a week later. Some of us by train, some of us on foot.
Thank you, Patrick.
Little plug there. That's going to be a tough game. That really is going to be a tough game going to Blackpool, I think. So, the quicker we get those 3 points on the board, the better. But we'll see. On our WhatsApp group that I'm on, there was one of the guys keeps an eye on everything, and I kind of feel like I'm struggling to keep up with who is fit and who's injured now.
Well, we've got a squad poster, so an updated squad poster which we can post onto socials afterwards. But we can run through that. I don't know if you want to do that now, Waggy, or whether you want.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it later on. We'll concentrate still on the Cambridge game. So, how do you think? How do you see the Cambridge game going, Jimmy?
It's got to be all out for 3 points. It's a real gift horse being given Cambridge's first game of the season at home. Okay, we've got these injuries, and Dave, you could see how disappointed he was at the fans forum last night. Like 9 players out of a sort of squad of 22, effectively, if you ignore the academy players and other players around that. So frustrating, but we can still put out a really strong team. It's just what's going to be on the bench. It sounds similar to what Cambridge have got. Just from what Jordan was saying, he reckons they've got a strong first 11, then after that, maybe not quite so much. But I think any team that can put probably Collar, Diamond, Wotton and Barry in forward positions is going to be fancying themselves against a team that's one of the favourites to get relegated. So it's got to be 3 points.
Yeah, how do you think we're going to start? Shape-wise, do you think it'll be 4-3-3, a 4-1-2-1-2, diamond, Christmas tree, whatever
I think we're struggling for a right back. So I think the current available players lends itself to a 5-3-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-3, something with 3 at the back, and then go from there. So that would be my prediction.
Fair enough. So go on, give us your score. What score do you think is going to be, Jimmy?
Go on, Patrick. Oh, okay. I think we'll win 3-1.
3-1. Patrick, sorry.
2-1. Yeah, I'd like us not to concede, but I think with the defensive injuries, yeah.
Which goal is going to be conceding that one, Patrick?
Oh, don't start that. We'll come on to that later. We'll come on to that later. Don't start getting hatred already. We're only 30 minutes in. For me, I think it's going to be 3-0. Let's go for it. I'm on the happy, confident train. I know we've got injuries and stuff, but I just think, as you say, one of the favourites to get relegated. I know it's the first game. We've not got very good, but as Mark Stark said in his interview earlier in the postseason, he doesn't understand why we've got that and why we all expect it. So I'm going for it 3-0. 3-0. So yeah. So moving on to yourself, Patrick. We did send you through the normal questions, which I've not got in front of me. So I'm going to have to try and remember these. And I'm 50 years old and my memory's shite.
I've got them in front of me. Don't worry, Wadey.
Well, yeah, I'd prefer to ask you the question rather than you ask yourself the question and answer it.
Yeah,
so a different voice on Patrick for the question. It makes it sound like someone else.
Just do it like that. Say it like that. Then so I think the first one is what was your first game at county? Do you remember who it was against, when it was?
I do, yeah, I do. I'm really anxious, apprehensive to say this. First game was against Stoke in a pre-season friendly, and I was in the away end wearing red and white stripes. As a Stoke native, but living in Stockport for a long time now, or South Manchester. So yeah, I think I tried to Google it, but it's really hard to find pre-season.
Yeah, pre-season.
Any information on them, and of course, when you Google it, it comes up with the game a couple of weeks last week. Yeah, it was last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, last weekend. Yeah.
I think it was around 2006. I remember it being before my eldest son was born, and he's 16, nearly 17, and going with a couple of mates who also live around here. Got mates in Chorlton who I grew up with, went to college with. So yeah, went to Edgeley Park. I feel like it was 0-0. I remember the first half was awful, and I ended up just counting the number of planes that went over the top, that flew over us.
So when did you convert to become a county fan, and do you remember your first game as a county fan?
Oh, good question. It was 2017, because I was starting to take my my 2 older boys. So I can't remember the game though. I've got I probably should have prepared that. I've got photos of the ground, of the kids at the ground and what have you. So I could probably work it out from the date stamp. But I'm not that prepared, I'm afraid.
Okay, so 7 years a county fan, and you've been watching us in the lower echelons of the Football League as well. So
yeah, Well, sorry, and that was part. It was that for me. That was attractions, maybe the wrong word, but it was that accessibility. Of literally at kind of 2:00 on a Saturday, asking the kids, "Do you want to go down? Let's go down. Such and such playing whoever at home today. Let's do it. Let's go down." And
was it the kids? Sorry, was it the kids dragging you, or was you dragging the kids?
Good question. I think it depended on the day, but a bit of both probably. There's certainly times where there was crap, but they were bouncing off the walls in the house, and wife wanted me to get rid of them, so get us all out of the house. So, we were going there. But yeah, I think the kids quite early on, and what was really good is my eldest got to be a ball boy through primary school at the time. The deputy head St Thomas's, the primary school they went to in Heaton Chapel. He's a long time season ticket holder, still is, and he managed to arrange sort of that kind of thing, and quite often free tickets. So I think we went that season probably 2 or 3 times on freebies in the family stand, which is great. And you're going with other kind of parents and other kids from the school. So yeah, but I think the ball boy moment where it was freezing as well, and they had to wear the, I can't even remember what basically were given a tracksuit, and they couldn't wear a coat over the top of it, and that was a pretty uneventful game as well. So there wasn't even anything to do. I don't think he even touched the ball. Anyway.
Brilliant. So from becoming a county fan in sort of 2017, who has been your favourite player or players in that time?
So a couple that stand out. Ben, I think, yeah, obviously there's the kind of the longevity. I love the fact that, you know, when we were watching him in, I think, did he come in 17 or did he come in 18? Is he? I think
Ben's been there 8 years. So it would be six.
Is it 8? I thought it was 6. I don't know why. Okay, someone will check it for us, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure, yeah.
Because he's 2 years away from his testimonial. I think that's one of the reasons that Stock was insisting that he would get a 2-year contract, take him through to his testimonial.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, I should have known that. Just, you know, the fact that he was driving the lorries and what have you, and you know, that kind of just, well, what kind of non-league football is about, really, isn't it? You know, people going up and postman in the day or whatever, fireman in the day, and then playing on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday evening. But I think he's just, you can see it in his body language. He's cool, calm, collected, and all that, but you can see the passion's there in his body language, and he's yeah. I mean, no keeper likes letting a goal, but you can see he's really gutted, isn't he? When if he doesn't concede, really gutted, really frustrated. So a big fan of Ben, and Maka as well. I think, you know, he's obviously had some injury issues, but again, I think he's really easy on the eye, and just felt like he was. I mean, he's been there a while now. I don't know how long, but.
Are you talking about his glistening body in Pinatar being easy on the eye? Because he was looking. I mean, honestly,
steady lads.
He was looking trim, like proper trim. I know he's injured and he's been in the gym, but he was looking very, very good, wasn't he, Patrick? Like
he was, yeah.
Very jealous.
Yeah, me too. And he comes across as a great guy. But yeah, just when he's good, I think he's really good. But yeah, we obviously need him to kind of steer clear of injuries. There was a few games last season, and I can't remember which ones they were. My memory's not great, stuff like that, where he just really stood out for me. So yeah, big fan of Maka as well. Also, just if I'm allowed to, one to watch, and this is obviously very limited minutes so far, but I think Shea Gardner has got real potential. You know, I think, Jimmy, you and I briefly spoke about him in Pinatar. I think it was the first. He played in the first third, I want to say, of the weird.
Yeah, he was down the right wing with Jid, wasn't he? And he very good movement, skills. I mean, the fact he's been given a squad number at 16, so he's our academy sort of player for the season. That's what Dave said last night.
Yeah, so. He's had a lot of minutes as well, hasn't he, in pre-season?
He has
had quite a lot of minutes.
Chester sounded like he did well. My eldest son went to the Chester game.
He did well there. Scored a goal, got an assist.
Got the goal,
and I think you can probably afford to take a punt on a younger player further up the pitch. You're not going to be putting a 16-year-old centre back in, for example, are you? So I think that probably helps as well. But the club obviously have very high regard for him. He's come from City's academy, I think I read somewhere. So they ain't going to be handing out sort of 14, 15-year-olds sort of a chance to play in their academy. Obviously, they've released him, but we benefited from that. So
yeah, and again with his pace as well, you can see him scaring defenders. So I think he's really clearly any City. Didn't realise he'd come from City, but you'd expect that being comfortable running at pace with the ball, but he's got all that. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, the other thing is that giving him a squad number means that we can have 7 players on the bench instead of just 6. So you can have 6 like first team, or you can have 7 if one of those is an academy player. So I think that's really good. Really good to have him on, because as you say, he's had a fair few minutes. I went to the Chester game. He did look really good in the Chester game, and say he seems to have played well every time that he's been on. So yeah. So then, favourite goal.
So I've gone for a couple. I've gone for Ash's goal against Bolton. So that was the equaliser to make it 3-3. Nice simple corner, simple header, but just being in the teal end and just everything about that. Because it was a night game. There was the absolute balls up of those first 2 goals in the first 5 minutes. I think one of them was a Palmer on goal. I'm fairly sure. Again, there was that that kind of he's and it was a really unfortunate own goal, to be fair to him. But yeah, just the moment, just so good. And at that point, it just felt like, right, we're going to win this. We're going to beat them. So yeah, that was great. And then Paddy's goal against Halifax on the last day of the season. So I think it was quite early on, so it kind of put put everyone's nerves at ease, because Halifax could still get promoted, if I'm not mistaken, if they won that game. I think
they could still get into the playoffs. Could they?
I think they could get automatic if results had gone their way.
Yeah, they've been there.
No, not for the National League.
No,
because it was between us and Wrexham for the National League. It's only one that goes up from the National League, wasn't it? So it must have been playoffs. I think they could have squeezed into the playoffs if they beat us. But again, hopefully somebody will comment. But
weren't they? I feel like were they? They were like top 3 for quite a lot of the season. I feel like, I might be wrong.
Yeah, they were. They definitely dropped at the end of the season, and yeah, top choices. Those 2 goals, mate.
Yeah, good. Yeah, decent choices.
Again, neither was spectacular. I think Paddy was really well executed, kind of eye of a needle job, but it was the kind of moment and the context of that moment for each of them.
Yeah, someone's just said Melham 2-4-4 has just said that they finished 3rd. So,
so if they'd have, who knows? Maybe if they'd have won, then maybe they could have finished. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it was only Wrexham that could have caught us. But
right.
It's a long time ago. I've been drunk since then.
Anyway, we won. We beat them both. We lost to Wrexham, hadn't we, in the week before away?
Yeah. So. And the week before that in the FA Trophy, wasn't it? Wasn't it 2 weeks on the trot? But anyway, you can't say that. You can't say that word because all the klaxons will be going off over the border. So. So moving on, do you want to quickly have a chat about the fans forum? I know you went, Jimmy, and you did an absolutely astounding job of keeping everybody afoot of what was going on. You was in charge of the Scarf Big War count, the X feed last night, so it was unbelievable.
Yeah, apologies to the people around me when I was tapping on my laptop. Yeah, I got some really strange looks, but hopefully if anybody's listening, they understand why now. It was great. It was a very positive event. So I know these fans forums can be an opportunity for people to moan, basically. So once we got past the future ticketing thing, and Tom Mahan, the chief operating officer, very quickly owned the issues. So like the first time they had a problem, it was future ticketing's fault on the Monday. for the Blackpool game tickets. And then on the Friday when they came back online, that was our fault as a club. We'd done something with the servers, put an extra layer of security in there, and it basically was computer says no. So he sort of held his hands up on that one, and he was very quick to say, as a club, if we make a mistake, we will own that. So as fans, we can expect them to be honest with us, which is good. And he did confirm that he's spoken to the chief exec at Future Ticketing, and whilst we're going to keep them for this season, and they're putting this queuing system in, which should hopefully alleviate the pressure on the servers, next season we will be moving to an alternative supplier. And he sort of linked in the loyalty scheme there. So a lot of fans have said, well, one of the questions was, well, why have we not sort of carried over the loyalty from away tickets last season? And he basically said we've got no real way of keeping track of it. So any new ticketing system will enable us to do that. And you mentioned something like the club shop as well. So maybe you will be allocated points if you buy stuff in the club shop and, I don't know, in the courtyard. So season ticket might give you X number of points. Away games might give you more, and it'll all feed into this sort of loyal fan thing, I presume. That's okay. The impression that I got from him. But no, the fan event was super positive. The thing that I will take the greatest sort of positive from was that they announced that we found some land south of the borough to build our own elite training academy, and that's just brilliant. I mean, as good as Carrington is as a facility, you want your own home, don't you? You want to be able to bring all the academy players under one roof, because at the moment they're playing up at Woodley Sports Village, whatever it's called, which is council owned. And then obviously we're renting the space at Carrington as well. So for us to be able to build that is just fantastic for the club, and it's just another massive tick in the Mark Stott, Simon Wilson journey for our club.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
When you look at like the success of our bigger neighbours, if you like, a big part of that from an academy level has got to have been those young players from an early age, whatever, 6, 7, 8 year old, seeing first team players and being around that environment. And yeah, that kind of. I mean, I was at Woodley. I think it was Stockport Sports Village, but it's in Woodley, isn't it? Yesterday, my youngest went to the county camp there. So it's a good setup, good facilities, but it's that separation. In Carrington's, it's miles away, isn't it? I mean, I know it's not really, but it kind of feels miles away. So I think to have it all under one roof would be really good.
Yeah, I think we've got, is it 3 years? I think we've got at Carrington, haven't we? So I think they extended the contract, didn't they? The period for Carrington. Mm. So I think we still got, I think it's 3 years, maybe 2, definitely at least 2, but maybe 3. So that gives us plenty of time to, as you say, to get that all. But as you say, I mean, going back to that, I was saying about Simon Wilson was involved in all that setup at City, where they built that brand new training pitch and had all the academy and everything. And he said that part of that was that you started as an under 8, as far away from the ground as you could get, but then every year that every year older that you got and the teams you moved into, you moved closer to the Etihad, which I thought was quite a cool. I know we're not going to be able to do that with Edgeley Park, but if you can see the first team training and you can say, yeah, I'm getting closer to being able to play or to be involved with them, and just like Bully and Rainsy said when we did the pod last week, it's having them players looking across and watching the first team, because the academy players have all gone up to Carrington now, haven't they? They're all playing up there or training up there, so they can see all the first team squad and just having a look to see what's going on with them, or they get dragged in for an 11 versus 11 or anything. So yeah, I think that would be brilliant. And if you can get that set up, that's, as you say, it's just another feather in the cap, isn't it, for everything that we're doing to be a championship club.
And it just reinforces that future planning that we hear about, we read about, we get told about over the last few years. But that's a real tangible investment, isn't it? And it's really exciting because I take it it's still secret, is it, Jimmy, where exactly it's going to be?
Yeah, they just said somewhere south of the borough. So, I mean, you can probably have a couple of guesses maybe because it needs a lot of land. I guess it needs to be flat as well. There's no, if anyone's played football in Sheffield, which I have done when I was at university, it's one of those where you kick off first half, you can't get out your own half, and then second half they can't get out of their own half because like the pitch is like massive land. So yeah, flat pitch.
Like playing Salford,
need a big amount of flatness. So, I mean, Woodford Aerodrome springs to my mind, but I don't know. That's
a housing estate now.
Not all of it. There's still a lot of land left.
Yeah,
okay.
It is a nice. It's nice around there. Really nice housing estate. Probably what 5-6 years old, maybe not even that.
Yeah, they're still building houses on there. My sister-in-law lives on that estate, but there's plenty of land available for other stuff as well. So it could be there or might not be. Might be somewhere else. But
yeah, I think there's a few rumours flying around in there. So we'll wait and see. Mm-hmm. Mr. Stott, we trust him, don't we? He'll find the right place. He'll find the right place.
And you've touched on already. We're there with Simon, with Tom. I think I'm right in saying Tom came from Man City. So he's really invested in the resources and in the people in the club, bringing in sort of quality from in different roles. So that again is reassuring from a long-term perspective, especially given we all know football is very short-term, or it feels like it's very short-term, and there's those pressures to kind of have immediate success. But this is us kind of putting a stake in the ground and building for the future as well. So it's really exciting for the club, and it's really exciting for us as residents of Stockport as well, I think.
And just what was maybe one last thing on the fan event. Ken Knott, the chairman, did sort of reiterate that it's really important that as Stockport County fans we log on to the planning portal or whatever the link is. I can't remember where it is. It must be on the website somewhere to really sort of back the project for Edgeley Park redevelopment as well, because that will be looked at as part of the planning. It won't decide the planning, but it will certainly help if there's plenty of positive comments from county fans, because he was rightly saying that when any planning for something like this goes in, it tends to be the people who want it and the people who aren't that bothered don't say anything. And then it's the ones that are like the detractors that basically they're all the ones that put all the comments in. So if we can balance some of that out as a fan base, that's really important for us to do. So yeah, anybody listening, watching, let's get voting on that.
Yeah, especially the people that move into a house next to the football stadium and then complain about the noise every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So everything was positive. As I said, we had a couple of comments about the coverage that you'd covered last night, Jimmy, which was absolutely superb. So, shall we move on to injury list?
Should we bring up the squad poster, Waggy?
Yeah, so we've seen this. We have posted this on socials. We did have it as the proper one. So this is all the players. I know that somebody else on Twitter had gone in and put crosses through the players that aren't available. So we've put our new squad numbers in. So the squad numbers were all released today. So good to see all those numbers in. A few people obviously keeping the numbers that they had last season. Bit of a change around. Big one, Alafi taking number 9. That's pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then we've obviously showing our injured players. So as you can see, pretty much, I mean, the right side, Maka, Noyle out, going straight through the middle. Connolly, I think possibly he can play in a lot of positions. He's probably one of them that would be playing as a right centre back, I think, possibly. Fiorini out, Powell's out, Stretton, Mellon going straight through the centre. And then obviously left wing back, both of them out, Rydell and Adamarola. So yeah, we quite a few injuries, but still, you look at the players that are there. Maybe I'd probably say for me, the right hand side of defence or right wing back position is probably the hardest one to find somebody to play in there. But I still think that we probably, if we are going to play 3 at the back, we're probably going to put Fevrier I think, playing as a right wing back. I think Torre can play as a left wing back. Certainly, if we've got Diamond playing down, because I think they've linked up quite well in pre-season. So, what are your thoughts, Patrick, on that? The injury list, and how do you think that's going to affect our start to the season?
So I think I'm right in saying Noel's out for a while, isn't he? He's out for like 4 months. Did I see?
Yeah, 3 to 4 months, I think he said.
Yeah, as well as I know, and I think Mellon, different position I know, but Mellon's potentially out for the whole season.
No, I think that's been downgraded now. So Dave last night said that they thought it may be an ACL, but it's more. It looks like it's a cartilage injury instead. So it could be sort of three months max. So we will get him back this year.
Okay, that's a bit more promising then. I mean, I've not seen, or I don't think. Did Akeke play much against Stoke? I went to that game, but he didn't.
You tell us you were there. We weren't.
I was going to say, yeah. If you was there and you can't answer it, then we definitely got no chance.
Stick out for me. I thought Bate played well. Diamond, I've seen him a couple of times, and Diamond looks really exciting. I think you're probably right about February, kind of dropping back to right wing back. Obviously having Barry is a massive boost. And really exciting. I just hope that this many injuries doesn't kind of water the team down too much.
Somebody in the comments has just mentioned that Tanto needs an injury marker. Now I didn't put that on because Dave reckons he'll be able to play a little bit in the Blackpool game. Yeah. So he's pretty much back. Okay, he's going to miss the Cambridge game, but he's pretty much confirmed to be almost back.
I think Jamie Redding's commented. I know it's a bit tongue in cheek, but I think we've easily solved our striker problem. Just stick a die up front because he played outfield once upon a time. Stick him up front, play him as the target man. We'll be laughing. And as Dan has mentioned that obviously you can't play a goalkeeper as an outfield player, but it would be nice if you could. Well, surely you can until they're actually registered.
I think he'd be up for it as well. Don't know about you, Jimmy. I had a little bit of a chat, a little bit of banter with him in Pinatar, and he just strikes me as someone who's up for anything.
It's changed since the 1990s, though, because do you remember when Stuart Pearce put David James up front when he was Man City manager? Was that 90s?
Yeah.
Was it?
He had who was that striker on the bench? He was David somebody. I can't remember. Anyway, he had a striker on the bench, Pearce, with like 5 minutes left of the game they needed to score, and he shoves David James up front. You got to Google it. Like, it's just comedy, like all his touches.
Seen it. Yeah, I've seen it. Remember it. And then you've had those times where the goalie's been injured, so the outfield player, I think was it someone like John O'Shea went in goal once, or one of the defenders. I remember seeing going goal years ago for United.
Well, that's allowed. So that's still allowed.
Still allowed, is it? Right.
So you can put an outfield player in nets, but you can't put a keeper out, basically.
Yeah. Understandable. And then I also heard, so when I heard that Powell, but this is old information, and I know there's a lot going around, but that was supposed to be a short-term injury. Is that now looking longer term?
I think it's a couple of injuries. So Dave did mention he had a couple of strains. So they were separate injuries. And he is hoping for him to be back in the next couple of weeks. But in fairness to Powell, it does seem that he's wanted to come back earlier, maybe, than he should have done over the previous season. And Dave did say, look, the medical staff have had to sort of hold him back and say, no, you're not quite ready. So the the reputation that he has, I think, is maybe not quite justified, because a lot of people sort of think, oh yeah, this guy don't want to play if he's broken his toenail or something. But that wasn't the impression that Dave was giving at the fans forum. Who knows?
I think it's unfortunate with Powell, because I think some of this comes from maybe his body language, seemingly kind of a bit more laid back and what have you. But I think that you don't get to play at the levels he's played at Championship, and obviously originally as a United player, I don't think he got many games or many minutes for United, but he's played a decent level in the Championship. You don't get that if you don't work hard and you don't have the right kind of work ethic. I think it's just unfortunate. He's been unfortunate, I think, in his career pre-county with injuries. It'd be great this season. This could be the season where he kind of really turns it on and shows us what he can do if he can have an injury-free run.
Yeah, I think I say we did flash it up. Ian Dowden said Powell back in training this week, so I don't think he'll make it for this weekend, but maybe, as you say, Blackpool, maybe the Blackpool game, hopefully we can get him back. But as you say, I mean, for me, without the injuries, that is a phenomenal squad.
Yeah.
That is just the depth that we've got and the amount of, and I think we have mentioned it before in some of the other podcasts, is that the depth that we've got, but the amount of different positions that these players can play in. We've got that we can have 11 people on the pitch, and we can probably play 4 or 5 different formations, depending on how we're doing, depending on how the opposition are playing and stuff. So I think that stems more, as we sort of said again, is around the difference between the first season in League Two, where we didn't seem to have a plan B, to last season in League Two, where we had plan A to Z. You know what I mean? It's absolute chalk and cheese. So to have all these upgraded players, I think it's just absolutely astounding. And hopefully we can get some of these back, and with the games and stuff that, I think I said it before, is for me, I would have been very, very happy with a mid-table finishing 10 to 12th. I thought that would be a really, really good season for us for this year. But the more of the players that we brought in, that little level of expectation just rose each time. And it's now I'm thinking, well, why can't we push for playoffs? Why can we not be in the playoffs? And I know it's a very, very strong league, but if you look at them, and as we say on paper, if we can get all them playing together and pushing each other, then I don't see why we can't be up there.
But just imagine if we didn't have any injuries. So you've got, I've not counted them, but I'm guessing there's around 22 players there. So you can only put 18 in a match day squad, and Che Gardner's got to be one of them. Although Akiki could be one as well, because he's an academy product, isn't he? So I mean, who are you leaving out? I mean, which sort of five or so players are you leaving out of that? Obviously, one's the goalie, but four very, very good players are going to have to be left out there.
But we said the same last season. Realistically, when you looked at our squad at the beginning of last season, if all of them were fit, then it's, as you say, that's why we're not managers, and that's why Charlie's paid the big bucks.
Yeah, indeed.
And just the fact we've got arguably the two best keepers from League Two last season. Any other team, even Birmingham, with all the money they spent, they've got to be jealous of that, having that strength and depth on the bench. Whether that will backfire at some point in the season, I don't know.
Well, again, Dave Chandler was on BBC Radio Manchester from 6 till 7 tonight talking, and we'll get rid of that now. And he was asked basically the question of who's going to start on Saturday, who's going to be your number one for the season. Is it going to be Hinchcliffe, or the guy did say Hinchcliffe, but we'll forgive him. I think he's a City fan. Or if it's going to be Adai, and he said this is probably the first time a bit more of a unique situation is that they've not got a number one. You know, Ben Hinchliffe is number one because he's got number one in his jersey, and that is the only reason. He's not. We've not desperately got a number one. They will both play in different times, different situations, but we have got the experience of Ben in there, and we have got an up and coming keeper in Adai. So, you know, it's them playing off each other and pushing each other. And we've said that, you know, previously that Ben's showed everybody that he can, you know, we'll bring these players in, bring these goalkeepers in, and he's the number one. Now, you know, he's 37 this year. He's more and more going towards. I think he's going to stay at County for the rest of his career, and he's going to be a coach. And we're going to have stands named after him. We're going to have the statue next to Bagara, Ben Hinchliffe, or it's going to be
succession planning, though, isn't it, Waggy? And this is what Dave has said. You're not going to sort of say, right, Ben is now finished. Let's buy a new number one in. What they've done is they bought two number ones. We actually don't have a number two, I would say. And we've got 12 games, August, September. So there's plenty of games to share around between the two goalkeepers. See what's happened at the end of those 12 games, and maybe he will have a better idea as to who the number one's going to be. But I would start with Ben in the first game of the season. I think that's the sensible option. Start with him, and then stick Corey in for the Blackburn game in the cup, maybe, and then sort of go from there. But there's plenty of games for them both to get minutes.
And Ben's earned. I know there's little room for sentimentality in football, but Ben's earned it, I think. And until that's proved otherwise, and like you said, it's that kind of succession planning. So actually, I'm sure that conversation as part of bringing Adai in was around, look, you know, you may play this season, but ultimately this is a club that's going places. We're heading to the Championship. You know, you could be our number one in the Championship, or sooner.
Well, I think it shows the change in tact is that this is the first time that we've signed a keeper properly, isn't it? I know we had Smith last year, but we only give him a 1-year contract, and before that we brought, you know, loan players in for seasons, loan keepers in for the seasons and stuff. So I think this is to show that yes, there's definitely that succession plan. Whether he's number one this season or not, or Ben's number one this season, it's there. It's the succession plan, isn't it? So
it's just that unfortunate. It's the only position, isn't it, where you've got that, you know, that thing about if you ideally you're keeping the same number one, you know, for the season, bar injuries. Whereas any outfield player, arguably, especially how versatile so many of them are these days, could be, you know, if they're playing well, could expect to play. But for keepers, if the number one's playing well, you just don't get a chance. You just got to hope's the wrong word. You don't want your colleague to get injured, but that's what happened. That's what Ben got his foot back in the door at Salford away early in. Who's the Liverpool lad?
Yaros.
Yeah. He got injured early. It was like 20, 30 minutes into that game. I remember him going down, and Ben came on, and my memory is that Ben didn't lose the position then after that.
He didn't make a mistake. So as you say, that basically what we've said is that, you know, he's cast all these other guys to side, hasn't he? That have come in that apparently are number ones and stuff.
Yeah,
I think he's got a much tougher task this season.
But I don't think it's necessarily about making mistakes, because keepers will make mistakes. It's an inevitability, and you can't sort of say, oh, you've made 2 mistakes in 2 games, I'm going to drop you. I think it will be on a number of different things, whether it's distribution, whether it's commanding your box, whether it's how you knit with your central defenders, it's your long kicks. So it's going to be loads of different things which will eventually make Dave and the coaches say, yeah, okay, this is going to be our number one based upon all that. And I don't think they'll be dropping somebody based on mistakes, unless it's like tons and tons of them every single game, which you wouldn't expect from either of them.
No. And I think
final word on keepers comes from Nick 10. A future tribute to Hinchliffe will be a clock and a newsstand. It will be called Big Ben.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll vote for that.
Yeah, we all hope for that.
I think, Jimmy, not just for keepers, the whole, it's obviously not just it's. I imagine at most levels in football, certainly this level and upwards, data that kind of looking at the minute levels of data about distribution or whatever the role is, and playing to strengths as well, using that data to say, actually, coming up against this particular team, this would be playing to our strengths.
That's a good point, and they may be rotated depending on the type of team that we're playing. Like if you know that Adai is good at certain types of shot stopping, and they take lots of shots from outside the box, you may stick him in. If you know that you need something slightly different, then Ben might get the nod. You can do that with two number ones, can't you? So
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is 9:10 already. So let's start trying to. Yeah, it certainly flies when you start getting into it. So a few little things that obviously we want to mention. First one is for the first time, the podcast is actually sponsoring players this season. So we have a home player, an away player, and a third player, which we will come to. So for our home player, we're actually sponsoring Che Gardner. So we are his home sponsor. So if he scores or anything like that, he is. I think Scarf BR Award gets flashed up on the scoreboard if he scores. So we've gone for him as we've talked about him fondly so far. I think he's going to be a real breakthrough for us this season. I think he'll be a surprise player for us this season. For the away, we have managed to get Lewis Bate, which I think is one of the most exciting signings that we've had for a long, long time. Looking forward to seeing him play week in, week out. So we've got his away strip for that. And obviously, we had a lot of feedback from the squad pod at the end of the season about players going out, players coming in, especially the goalkeeping situation. So, of course, who else? But we are actually sponsoring Curry Adai for his home kit for the upcoming season. And that is obviously nothing against Ben, but we couldn't get his sponsorship. So we have gone for Curry, which I think is maybe a little bit ironic, but I think it's quite good that we can manage to get a player like that. And that does not sway our decision in whether we prefer Curry or Hinch. It is just what we had available. So yeah, that's exciting going forward that the pod is able to sponsor 3 players for the upcoming season. I think it's really exciting. Some really good players for that sponsorship. We also have Jimmy, who is doing a little bit of a ramble in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Waggy. So yeah, I will take over. So Just Giving site. Okay, we've raised over £3,500.
Sure, it's not GoFundMe.
Just Giving site, £3,500. Thank you so much for everybody's support. There's some names in the comments who've sponsored us. So thank you very much, Patrick. You have done as well. I've just popped up a little QR code in the top right hand corner of your screen. So if you zap your phone at that'll take you directly to the Just Giving page. So anybody who's watching this, if you're listening, Just Giving, and then type into the search Stockport County 85km, and you'll find our page. We're updating it regularly with like training updates, and yeah, the walk is from Edgeley Park to Blackpool on Friday the 16th, finishing on Saturday the 17th at the ground, and we are doing it in support of Mentel. So any further sponsorship would be greatly appreciated, and thank you if you've already sponsored us.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. So it's me, it's Jamie Redding, Andy Redding, and Ian Hiles. So 4 mad Stockport County fans. So support us.
Yeah, mad being the operative word. Just drive.
Your beer at Bloomfield Road on a week on Saturday.
You can buy me an apple juice. Yeah. I don't, unfortunately, I don't drink, but yeah, an apple juice would be lovely. Thank you very much. And just to say, Simon Wilson has actually sponsored us as well. So kudos to him. thank you, Simon, if you're listening to this. And I know that Tom Mahan listens to all the podcasts. So, Tom, if you're listening, you need to keep up with Simon. And you need
get
to
your hand in your
sponsor
pocket
as well, mate.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, quick one. County 833 says hopefully we can get them on the pod at some point. Yeah, we are going to try our best to see if we can get them on the pod. Obviously, it depends on the club. We don't want to be disturbing them or anything like that. But yeah, the plan is hopefully to try and get them on the pod at some point. We've got some good pods coming up. If you are a patron member, so get yourselves signed up on Patreon. It's only £3 you get everything ad free. We also have the club call, which is ad free, but also we are starting to try and do at least a monthly sort of special one with ex-players, maybe other people within the club that we have been speaking to. So they will be just on Patreon. So yeah, get yourself signed up for that. We hopefully will have, just to give you a little bit of an insight, hopefully we are trying to arrange and sort out for a chat with Matty Warburton, which will be quite interesting. So that will only be available to patron members. Obviously, a big shout out to John doing his weekly blog as a county fan, age 66 3/4. He must be getting on for that. He must be pushing on further that. It's been that for the last year or so. But have a listen, have a read of that wherever you can. It's a really good read. He does a weekly diary of the county story. Very good read. I don't think there is anything else from me. The Courtyard Club Call officially will be returning on Monday after the Cambridge game. Apart from that, I think that's everything from my side. Anything else I've missed, Jimmy?
Just got one thing to say. A massive thank you to James Jennings for the work that he's done with the club over the last 4 years, I think it is. So he's moving on to pastures new with the PFA. So good luck to him. I'm sure we'll bring in somebody to replace him at some point. But yeah, James, thank you for all your hard work.
I heard the club were instrumental in encouraging that as well. I randomly bumped into his auntie walking the dog a couple of weeks ago, and she said that the club were really pushing him to go for that. So again, I think that shows you what kind of club we are.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yep. Superb. Anything else to add? Or should I just try and drag this out while I find the closing thing to say goodbye? Where's it gone? I think it's that one. Okay, cheers all. See you all later. Bye now.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers,
Bye.
guys. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Please salute your League Two champions for 23-24. It's Stockport.
Ah.